Okay, kids. So today I want to try to explain to you exactly how this apparatus for measuring our pins is supposed to work. So let's just first look at it and and say prayers together and sing songs at its wonderfulness. Just a brief explanation. So the machine is designed to pick up the parts of the pins that we're trying to measure that are specified on our specification. All right, so we have, in essence, two dial indicators that pick up the critical dimensions of the helix of the pins. We will establish master pins, which will calibrate the dial indicators to 0, and then we'll do comparative analysis against the master pin. The way the machine works is a little bit like a Bridgeport lathe. We have an x-axis where the indicators can be moved in this direction, and a y-axis where the indicators can be moved in this direction. These handles, here and here and here and here, and here and here, are all tie downs. So once the indicators are dialed to where they need to be, these hold it in position. The other handles here and here are designed to move the table back and forth or in and out. So rather than try to imagine what I'm describing, we'll just go ahead and set one up. This device here is only used for pins that don't receive an internal tread, which I'll explain a little bit further. So all the different part numbers that are here, I'm adding a column to our spreadsheet that says device set. So there are some pins that are very big, and where it says none, the machine exists the way you see it here. There are also different inserts that fit into the machine like this and have wing nuts that screw the insert into place underneath. That has to do with the size of each series of pins. So we have, in essence, one, we'll call this none, as it's labeled here. And then we have insert A. Then we have insert B. It's a bigger dimension, so it's elevating the center of the pin higher so that it aligns with the indicators. Then we have insert C on this side, and then D on this side. So for instance, a TK225 pin will use D, and it'll say D out here at the end underneath the device setting. It's on a different page, actually. But anyway, so we'll calibrate the machine as if we're going to check the RVW 1012P. Okay, this is the largest pin. So the way that it gets done, first of all, this device gets moved up into the up position, okay? And that locks into the detent of the thread. So when we place the pin in the device, you can see that it makes contact. We want to roll it counterclockwise. Or would that be clockwise? I guess it'd be clockwise. So we want to roll it that direction. Okay? So once we've done that, we want to get the indicators in line with the helix. Okay? And then okay, so this is set this way, so we'll lock that plate down. And now we turn this in until it's making contact, and we'll dial it into 0. And once we do that, we lock it in. Now here's your tolerance range, so it's plus and minus 15 thousandths from 0. Okay, so we've got that side set. Now we'll go to this side, and we'll make sure that we loosen this. Okay, so we're gonna move the plate until the indicator is lined up with the thread, which is about there. And we'll lock that plate down. Then we'll dial this in just like we did the other side. So now it's making contact with the thread, dialed into 0. Okay, and then we can lock that. And then you can fine tune that dial just by putting it on 0 like that. All right. So now this is the master pin. We'll say this is the a piece that's added after that, and it's a stop. Okay, see where it hits the end of the pin. All right. So what that allows us to do once we tighten down the stop, it probably doesn't need all 4 of these, but okay. So now the pin is set in its position. You see the indicators are dialed in at 0. So now let's pretend that I'm taking out the master. Everything's been set, and now we're bringing in the production part. So the guy is going to push that against the gate or the stop, line up, and then turn it, I guess it is, clockwise. And what you'll see is the indicators have picked up the same spots, and they're right back to 0. All right, which means that's a good pin. Now the indicators, of course, have the tolerance range on them. So anything within those tolerance ranges would still be a good pin. So if nothing else, this displays repeatability. So I'll do it again. So take it out, the indicators are wherever they are, set that thing in place, and boom, they 0 out again. Okay. So that happens to be the biggest pin that we're doing. Now, if we were to take, I won't go through all these pins, we've got a lot of different pins, but if we were to now take, let's say the smallest pin. First thing we do is remove the stop. Set it aside, and then we'll do the 225, which is device set D. This one over here, and I'll put some indicators on there to let you know which is what. So that fits just in there. I'll show that again. There's a couple holes in the bottom of the base, and that just slides right in, locks into place, and then we can use wing nuts on the bottom. There's one. There's 2. Okay, now that plate is stable. The next step, we would take our tiny little pin, just a little bit smaller than that. We'll get it prepared. So the first thing you do is you put it in the groove, you slide it down, and then you see where it locks in the detent. Okay, just like before. So now we can go ahead and, if we wanted to, it doesn't matter what order we do these things, go ahead and put the stop on. You just have to know how to do it. I'm still learning. Okay, so that. Okay, so now the stop is in position. Now we have to calibrate the machine. So again, this pin represents a master that we still have to select, okay? So we're gonna loosen up the X axis and line it up. And we'll go ahead and loosen up the Y axis and move the indicator in simultaneously. We can do 2 things at the same time here. Okay, so it's good on X. We're going to go ahead and lock it down and bring it in on Y. And we want to have just the minimum amount of movement here. You don't want to cause the indicator to move a great deal because it makes it harder to set the next part in. You only want it to move just a little bit. So when we calibrate this, you might only need to calibrate it whatever the tolerance, half the tolerance is. In this case, oh, I get that set in the wrong place. Okay, so in this case, I'm just gonna move it in a little to, and you gotta be careful. In one position here, the indicator does want to touch that plate, so we just move it over a little bit. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we'll turn it in until, oops. I'm gonna turn it a little bit further and then just turn the dial to give our range. My indicator extent, you have to be careful about this too. So the dial lock in this particular pin was interfering with the rotation of, can you see where I'm pointing to? This little dial lock down here. In fact, we could probably even remove it. So it was interfering with the indicator lines, the tolerance lines. Okay, so now it's not. All right, so we've got this thing. We'll turn it into 0, lock it down, and then well, there's no need to fine tune it. It just stayed where it was. Now this pin's so light that the indicator pushes it off of its surface. So do the other side first, then I'll show you what happens. Loosening X here and here, and loosening Y here, which are the locks. Okay, anything with a spring on it is the mechanism that actually moves. We'll call it a table. So now I'm moving it in X and Y to bring the indicator up to the thread. Okay, I'm gonna get it really close in X. So I'm gonna lock down X and Y. Hold the pin down, and like before, we're gonna dial it in until it reaches 0, which is there. Lock X down here. Okay, the indicator tends to move 1,000th or so. All right, so now the machine's set up to measure a bunch of 225. So that was the master. Okay, now we're gonna pull the master out, and I'm gonna put it over here. Now I'm grabbing production parts, and I'm gonna just push it up against that back plate, and then line up on the detent, and the indicators will display whether that pin is within tolerance or not. Okay, and as it happens, since it's the same master, it zeroes out pretty closely to perfectly every time. I think there's a plus or minus 1 or 2 thousandths at the most variance. So again, it's a pretty quick way to do it. Just lock it in, boom, that one's done. Grab another pin. That one's good. Grab another pin. That one's good. You get the idea. I think that in a nutshell, a very large nutshell, that explains this contraption. And I'm sure we'll be talking about it a little bit more. I need to validate that it works with every single pin. I'll do that this afternoon as well. But thank you very much, and happy Halloween.